Okay, I am testing the sound and let's see what happens. I'm actually already hearing sound on YouTube here, but just making sure that my voice is coming through before I mute it. What I'll do is I'll open both YouTube and Rumble on separate tabs, the live stream, and I'll have it running. Rumble actually, after a certain thing, I think it kind of times out, and so then it kind of stops like streaming. It stops actually doing anything, kind of on purpose, to save bandwidth or whatever. And of course, YouTube still goes on regardless. And I just do that just so I can make sure that everything is good, making sure that the audio is working um and all that. And occasionally I'll refer back to it. Anywho, let's okay, good. They're streaming there. Okay, let's go to the chat. All right, good. Okie doke. Let's hold on. Hey, welcome back to the stream. I just wanted to do uh the webcam, just because I haven't done it in that long. Of course, I always have my webcam on in the corner when I'm streaming, but I just figured maybe I can pull out something from for the thumbnail or something. Seems like faces do actually um, kind of perk up the viewers, I guess, or perk up the views a little bit if you have a face in there, and that's why people are always doing the stupid, thumbnails with the stupid expressions, like you know, different stuff like that. But anyways, so today I am continuing what I left off on Thursday, which was Zanzibar's introduction. And Zanzibar he's from our world. He's a magician. You know, essentially illusion, right? Illusionist, magic tricks, basically. Um, but he's also a con artist, and he's a thief, and he's a fraud, basically. And when we first meet him, he's running from the police on foot, and he ducks into one. Well, actually, one of three places because I'm gonna make three different choices. So there are two rival hotels. One's called the Lilliputian, and the other one's called the Blefuscu. After Gulliver's travels, and they both tout being the biggest hotel slash convention centers on the Strip, New York, Las Vegas Strip, and of course I don't know, I guess you call it irony, would be irony, um, that they be ironic that they're calling themselves the biggest when Lilliput and Blefuscu were actually tiny, at least compared to Gulliver, at least in one part. In fact, I think in Gulliver's Travels, and I haven't read the actual book, but I think it's like the three roles of Gulliver. Basically, he goes to another island or another place, and after Lilliput, and ends up in a place where there's giants, and he's the tiny one. But I think that's actually in the book, but I'm not sure because I haven't read it. But anyways, the idea being um, that the ironic thing, the irony is that um, in the book they were tiny nations, both Lilliput and Blefuscu, right? And but then these hotel slash convention centers are touting to be the biggest, with each one trying to say that they're bigger than the other. And right in the middle, in between them, is Gulliver's Bar, and Gulliver's Bar is just like a little tiny place, and um, that's sort of part of the deal. And so, okay, so Zanzibar is running from the police because he had just come off of a show where he basically was caught stealing stuff. In fact, he's got a crow um, that he calls Corvus, and Corvus is actually so smart that he's able to lift wallets and purses and valuable objects from the audience members while Zanzibar is performing his act. And so he's running from him, and he ducks into one of the hotels or into the bar, and he notices a traveling like a wizards convention. He thinks they're a bunch of magicians too, and so he ducks into their crowd and follows them where they actually go into a room where a portal has been opened back to Enchanted Lands, and that's how he gets into Enchanted Lands. And so I've got I'll have it set up where you'll have both hotels, the Lilliputian and the Blefuscu, and they'll actually go into. I think what I decided on is at first I was going to have them go into the same alley, where also you could actually go from the bar, from Gulliver's bar, into the same alley. But I'm going to have it to where each of the hotels has their own convention, so to speak, and the bar actually also opens up into an alley. But if you go into the bar, you'll have a couple of wizards that are drunk there, and but they have to go back, and so they go back, and um, Zanzibar can follow them, and does follow them back into Enchanted Lands, and that's how he gets into Enchanted Lands. And once he realizes that he is no longer being chased by the police, and a whole new world of people to fleece, uh, he gets right to work in trying to scam them and stuff. He does a few like 3 card money and a couple of kind of your more basic scams, but eventually he builds into having these elaborate shows, and eventually he's going to try to steal from Max, who's our villain, uh, and Max is about to kind of take care of him when he gets a second thought, and he actually likes his moxie, his chutzpah, whatever you want to call it, his guts, uh, and so he hires him to help Max bring in people into his mines, because Max is actually abducting people. He's abducting tourists and citizens alike to work his mines of Quicksilver, because Max is building this machine which will open portals to all the realms. Now, of course, I just gave you the punchline, basically the hook of the story. Like if I was making this normal and I was making it full point and click, and I was wanting to make money off of this. Not that I don't necessarily want to make money off of it, but what I mean is, if I was making it to sell, specifically to sell, I probably wouldn't be telling you all this. You wouldn't be knowing any of the story at all. This would be a secret thing, because it's only a rumor that Max has returned, and this guy named Maximilian, this guy named Max Millions becomes a. Yeah, I know it's kind of a little I don't know what you call it, cheesy or whatever. To have it the thing that he does. It's not like you couldn't tell Maximilian spell and Maximilians were the same person. Were the same person. Even when you first hear about him, even if you'd never watch any of my videos or anything, you'd catch on pretty easy who was who. So Maximilians, I know he has millions of dollars, and so, or he comes in as a super rich guy named Max Millions, and who really is called Millions, when he has millions, but it's like Richie Rich, right? Whatever. It's funny comedy, whatever. It's a fantasy, whatever. Anyways, Max Millions, he buys Enchanted Lands from the king. The king, if you know anything about the king, which I haven't really explored on the channel, or even really that much in the game. In fact, the you have the Puppet King, and you don't really know that much about the real king. All you know is that our main wizard and chief advisor to the king and the king's best friend, Hubert, knows that the king's acting really strangely, and it turns out that the king is not actually the real king. He's the puppet king, and we kind of don't really know what happened to the real king. Um, but so yeah, there's that. Yeah. Anyways, the king would never sell Enchanted Lands to anybody, and to have him sell it to Maximilian, there's something wrong right there. And then so that's why Hubert is going to send for help, and I still might change it from Hubert back to Harold. I did Harold, and I'll admit it was probably because of Harry Potter that I thought of the name Harold, because I came up with this concept around 2005. I actually had a few things maybe a little bit earlier, a couple of stories, a couple of sparse stories that kind of melded into this. But the wizard Harold, his name was Harold. His name was Harold Halfway. Um, well, I don't know if I was. It's like, okay, so it's like halfway Harold, or Harold halfway. I can't remember what I was gonna do because half of his magic is gone. So he takes up a new name. And but his original actual name, like the first name or last name, whatever you want to call it, Harold was gonna be in there. And then I thought, Harold is really just Harry, and I'm kind of going, well, it's the same. I could make a joke out of it maybe, and like a pun, and I could even comment. And then I decided, it sounds stupid, and so then I rewrote him as Hubert, because Hubert to me is just kind of a funny name. But I'm thinking about going back to Harold and not worrying the fact that Harold and Harry is the same name. In fact, I even had a little joke that Harold's last name rhymed with Trotter or Rotter or something of that nature, and the hint was that his last name was actually Potter, but I couldn't say it because of copyright issues. In fact, that was the joke. The joke was going to be that he had to change his name because of copyright issues, and so he changed it to Harold Halfway instead of Harold Potter. And I'm thinking, what? I might go back to that. I might do a thing um, where Harry has the same last name. Actually, in the first part of the game or of the story, Hubert or Harold has to pick somebody from some external realm, some other realm other than Enchanted Lands, other than the Sunny Nexus. And occasionally you hear me talk about the Sunny Nexus worlds. The idea is that this Nexus is kind of where like this magical mineral Quicksilver comes from. In fact, it was nothing but like this big, huge like mound of Quicksilver, basically, in like this in one realm, particular realm. And what it called the Sunny Nexus worlds, it means that you can open portals to different areas, different realms from this realm. And then eventually they built a kingdom over the top of it, where everything runs on magic, which is provided by this mineral nicknamed Quicksilver. And then eventually they decided they didn't want to tax the citizens anymore, and that Harold decided to suggest that they turn to tourism, because tourism's all the rage now, and theme parks in different realms and stuff, especially in our realm. And so why not turn Enchanted Lands, which is a real Magic Kingdom, into a theme park, essentially, a resort, right? And then that leads to everything's going good, and then you hear about rumors about somebody that was previously banished arriving back, and so I had this whole thing too, this whole backstory about what had happened to Max before, because he was trying the same thing. He was trying to Okay, so my original story, it was a little bit darker, and that is he was doing these experiments by injecting tourists with quicksilver to give them perhaps magical abilities, and he was unsuccessful. And then I sort of said, that's a little bit too dark for this kind of a story, right? All ages appropriate, family friendly. I don't like using the term family friendly as much. Not that I have anything against being family friendly, but when you say family friendly, most people think it's about family and it's about it's kid stuff or whatever. And what I mean is all ages appropriate. In other words, not if I ever make anything, and that includes this game, which I'm making, but if I ever release anything, I would never release anything that has objectionable material in it. It won't have gratuitous violence. I wouldn't put any kind of foul language, even you know, even benign things like damn and hell, and whatever we consider as benign swear words these days. Shoot, we're even thinking the f bomb is now pretty benign. That everybody uses the f bomb, which to me is kind of annoying. But um, so wouldn't put any foul language, or gratuitous violence, and no sex or nudity. That's just a thing that I think to me is should be kind of forbidden. If I see nudity, if I see a nude woman in a movie, all I'm thinking about through the rest of the movie is this nude woman, right? Unless it's like she's like totally ugly or fat, super fat, or old or whatever, totally unattractive. And even then I'd be thinking about how ugly and stuff it looked. That this ugly naked woman was in the movie or whatever. If it was that, but if it's some beautiful naked woman in there, what am I thinking about? I'm thinking about naked woman through the rest of the movie, and so it sort of ruins your movie experience. And then almost the same thing with the sex scene. It's except I just don't like watching people humping on screen. I just don't. It's not something I enjoy. I don't enjoy watching two people get it on. It's just I don't. You know, and so I would never put that if I ever made a movie. Violence, I don't have a problem with violence. I say gratuitous violence, meaning anything that's meant to shock or it's meant to be particularly gory. If I ever made movies and I made a war movie, a realistic, gritty war movie and war is pretty bad, especially if you're doing like Civil War or Revolutionary War, when they didn't have hardly any kind of doctoring stuff or anything, and they had to literally saw off people's legs while they were still alive without any anesthetic or anything whatsoever. That sort of stuff, the really horrific stuff. If I ever made a movie like that, I might would go ahead and put the realities of it because the war, uh, especially wars a long time ago, it was pretty nasty. We have it pretty good nowadays. Not that it's not bad. That war is not bad because you still have people being blown up and stuff. But at least nowadays, it's not as much of a death sentence as it would have been in like the Civil War times. Civil War would have been horrible to live through. Just horrible. Even if you were relatively unscathed, like you didn't get shot or you didn't hurt, just being around that, all that death and this violence, it'd just be horrible. I think, uh, just like the Dark Ages, it'd be horrible to live during the Dark Ages. If I had a time machine, I would never go back to medieval times. I just wouldn't do it because there's nothing in medieval times that would be good to me. You'd have the bad, horrible smells. You'd have, depending on where it was, for instance, England, it'd be incredibly depressing. It'd be dark. There'd be disease like the plague, just all kinds of stuff. And you know, even though Civil War during the Civil War would have been horrible, uh, probably even be even more horrible back um, in medieval times. I would think maybe not, but I would think that it would even be even more horrible. But maybe not as horrible because maybe you get an arrow to the heart or you get a knife wound, and it's not like big chunks of flesh being ripped off of you or something, So maybe it would still be more horrible. This is more. I don't know. Anyways, I'm going off. I'm sorry. I apologize. But so anything that I ever produce, for any kind of public consumption would be all ages appropriate. So it wouldn't have any swearing, like I said. It wouldn't have any sex or nudity, and violence would only be whatever the story required to tell it. And even then, there wouldn't be that much violence. Um, so yeah, I don't even know why I went into that. But anyways, I should actually get to the work. How I always do. If you've watched me for any length of time, I start going off on tangents and I start doing stuff, and then sometimes I forget. I guess ADHD. I wasn't ever diagnosed with ADHD, but I do. That reminds me. Um, but I was uh, I was diagnosed with hyperactivity when I was a child, and usually it would be artificial colors. Mostly the colors. I mean, it would also be sugar too, because sugar does do a lot. So it did act toward the hyperactivity, but colors were kind of a big deal. So any kind of sugary cereal, brightly colored sugary cereal, would make me go nuts. And then I guess I was put on Ritalin when I was young, and somehow I went nuts or went crazy or something. And my dad that day just went back to him and said, "You're not giving my son this stuff anymore." And so I guess I was taken off of it. But I have all the problems that all the deals that they talk about ADHD. You know, I my sentence are disjointed sometimes. I'm thinking about something and I don't say everything, and so I say it in like pieces. Like I'm all over the place, and I have a bunch of different ideas. I switch from thing to thing. I can't stay focused. That's not entirely true. I can stay focused. I can make myself focus on something if I want to. But in general, I'm always just like going from thing to thing, and so sometimes that's why you hear me like going off on tangents. I go off on tangents, and because my brain just naturally wants to do that. Anywho, that being said, let's go to the actual thing that I'm supposed to be working on. And give me a sec while I check out RC. Just give me a sec. You're drawing, maybe scripting new features for the Zanzibar guide today. I'm curious. Maximilian trying to overthrow the king, or is he's the real power behind this puppet king? Oh, so Bomb from IRC is, it looks like he's watching or listening. If you are, so Maximilian is actually put up. Max put up the puppet king. I mean, like I said, the streams, I'm telling you the whole story, everything behind the story. So it's not. Um, I'd be hoping that people that like watching people make games and make stuff would be watching the deal. So there's going to be a ton of spoilers, but at the point at the beginning of the story, you don't really know who everybody is. You don't know that much about the king. All you know is that the king was acting strangely towards Hubert, which is his best friend, and his chief advisor was the wizard Hubert, and or Harold. As I'm probably going to go back to Harold. I haven't like committed 100%, but I'm probably going to do that. But so all we know is that the king is acting pretty strange, and he sold it Enchanted Lands, the whole thing to Max. The king sold it to him, and the king would never, under any circumstances, actually sell Enchanted Lands to anybody. So he knows that there's something really weird, and so that's what we're trying to find out. And you're gonna find out that that Max had banished, or I don't know exactly yet what he did with the king, but the real king is not there. He's someplace else, and we have this puppet king that he put the puppet king in himself. So and he did it beforehand so that the king could sell him Enchanted Lands so he could take over. And so yeah, so that's where that's going. As far as doing drawings and stuff. I'm still not doing visuals yet. I probably should, just because people don't find text that interesting. But um, let's see here. Okay. Uh, so I'm right now. All I'm doing. See, all I'm doing is I have all of these here. Let me show you. Um, assuming you're still watching or listening here. In fact, where is? Okay, there's the chat there. Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. That doesn't matter. Okay, so let's go into the rooms page, and you notice here now. Wait a second. This is the meta stuff. Meta. There we go. Don't worry about those meta files. Um, okay, so this says 44. This is essentially 44 distinct locations. There's actually a few more than just this, and a couple of these ones should be recombined and whatever. So before I had it labeled this ways, I had 93 pages, 93 rooms here. In fact, I can show you here in just a sec. Let's go to the design documents deal, and let's do the let's see, rooms. Let's see, where's the order? This is the order because of the current naming convention right here. So there's 93 different pages. These are actual the actual files essentially. The last one is 42, even though this is like the last location or whatever. I'm not sure how come 42 is. Oh, it's because I had another Castle Throne room like back over here, so that was introduced over here. But because there are two things that take place in the same place. This is the way this is set up is set up like a choose your own adventure, right? So and it's only going to be choose your quote unquote choose your own adventure until I start adding. Eventually, I'm going to get to a point where I make it a text parser. It's going to have full save game, full interactivity, and all that stuff here. It's a mystery to resolve. We're not supposed to know in the first place and explore it and make sense of the king's strange behavior. Yeah, exactly. The storage trees you're handling inside of Godot Redot are a built-in feature, or you installed an extension. Well, okay, so the editor. Here, let me go to my scripts. It's called a tool script. It is a tool script. And what it means is that this will actually run in the editor. So if you go here and if I change here, let's just do this here. I don't know if you can tell it, but if you can tell it, it's changing the contents in real time. Now, of course, I had to write the script to actually tell it to update the text as I enter the text in. But this allows you to do it because it's a tool script, because it's running the script within the editor. So and then I also made a plugin. It's essentially another script. Here, hold on a sec. So okay, that's all right. So let's go to the plugin. Call it custom save. So basically, this code adds these buttons here: save room data, the plus and the minus button, and so it's actually technically a kind of a feature almost of the Redot editor. They allowed you to do this so that you could modify the editor. Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. And in fact, I'm going to be working on a layout tool. I started working on a layout tool, a proper tool, the other day, but I figured I need to get some of this done because there's a ton of pages I have to go through right now. Okay, so yeah, so it's basically running the script to actually update this in real time, so I can see exactly what's going on here. These lines and stuff are some code I wrote. You could say Grok wrote it because I use Grok a lot to actually help me with some of this tool script stuff because I'm just interested in making the game, and making tools and stuff is really kind of not that interesting to me, but I kind of need the tools to make it quicker and easier to actually make the game, right? But yep. And so and the only way these lines get updated is when I hit save room data, and even it does it incorrectly because it's somewhere in my script where I don't have it update correctly, or something's updated out of order, and I have to actually reload it to actually fix it. But other than that, so yeah, it allows me to draw these lines, to have these boxes here, so that I can see how the essentially how the game is laid out. And see all those lock things, that they're all locked because I don't want to be accidentally messing with lines and uh, containers and things. There's like a ton of different containers here. So like the top one is for the incoming. These are the incoming links, right, from the other pages. And technically, I call these rooms. This is a room class. But it's more like since it's like a choose your own adventure, it's just more like a page, like text page, like a choose your own adventure text page. Okay, so this is its own container. The one for the doors down here is its own container, and then I locked the node for the lines, and that's why they see with the little lock deals here. Yeah, I mean it kind of looks kind of expansive. It is and it isn't, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, it I mean it's kind of large when you look at it like this. Okay, like for instance, a lot of these are kind of duplicated. They're repeated because of giving you the ability to do the different choices here. Um, let's see. Hit one if you wish to enter Glint's cave. Hit two if you wish to call out to Ember in front of her cave. Hit three if you wish to examine Shade's cave. Right. So it's three choices. So you go to Glint's cave, and then you have to check out the other two. So and this is not even really a single tree for the entire game, or each character. It's for the whole game. At least for right now, it's for the whole game because I have the whole like story laid out. Like I said, 93 different pages, 93 different rooms in here, and then so yeah, it's just a single one. Like I don't know, maybe I could divide it up later or something for some reason, but this is just kind of the way it is right here. Okay, um, so you have the three options, and then here you only have the two options that are left: Ember, and Shade. And so if you pick Ember here, here let's see, you pick Ember deal here, then the only one you have left is Shade's cave. And so if you pick Shade over here, uh, then the only one is Ember. So it's basically there's a lot of duplicated stuff in here. Just partly because I didn't want to do like loops. If I do loops, I can do loops in within the actual game engine part of it, but because of the way that the lines draw and stuff, I didn't want to have loops in it, so I'm not allowing loops. So in order to be able to hit all the different choices, I have to have some of these duplicated. Single view of everything, like movie directors having storyboards of the entire movie. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. It's sort of like a storyboard. But in the fact that I got like I duplicate some of the stuff, like this one is this one's in front of Ember's cave, and she's a lady dragon. In fact, she's Chester's girlfriend. So he doesn't want to invade her privacy, so he calls out to her instead of going into their caves. Like he goes into Glint and Shade's cave at the because he's trying to find them at this point. But so there's a lot of duplicate, but also because of the nature of the text, I can slightly I can slightly um, I can change the text just a little bit, flavor it a little bit differently. It still amounts to the same thing, it's the same story, but I can change how it's being displayed so that depending on the choice, you get a little slightly different text. This is kind of a little tiny advantage to doing it this ways. Anyways, So I got a lot of there's a lot of stuff to do. Okay, so like now here's okay, so here's what I've been doing. Okay, so this is just one page. This is one room. It's not really a room, it's a page. But in our realm, Cerulean Zanzibar the Great, magician, con artist, and thief manages to escape the police into the lands. So, and I have this thing already thought out that I'm gonna implement here in just a second. But so that's one page, and then the next page leads to the next story beat. Zanzibar then does a few tricks for the first local CCs in some random village. Zanzibar gets his crow covers to steal from the locals. And so this is where he starts his new life of crime here in Enchanted Lands. So I have to get from one place to the other, and I have to kind of think up like interesting choices to put this into. Now, because of the way this is set up, looking forward to seeing you introducing a new room, Harold's Hotel character into that big story tree. Well, yeah, I'll do. In fact, I'll do that in just a second. I actually have the notes in my notes file, which is just a big long text file. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. He's a yes. He's it's something I thought of. I'm not even sure why I came up with the idea. I just thought it would be funny. I think I don't remember how I came up with him. Maybe I just wanted an extra villain in the story because at some point I had more good guys than I had bad guys. So I'm kind of going. They should at least be balanced, if not, in the bad guys' favor, because you want the good guys to be able to overcome right these obstacles. And if there's too many good guys, then they can easily beat the bad guys, and that's no fun. So I had to do the balance, and so I added this extra character, which is also from our realm. Like, okay, so John is our main character. He would have been our main character if I had made sure that you had only one player character. In fact, originally it was going to be you were going to even be able to play the villain roles, even though ultimately they don't win because they're villains. It's still a narrative story, right? Adventure games are about the narrative and about exploring, and so you still have the thing, but I was going to allow you to actually physically play the villain parts just to round out the story. I could still do that, maybe. I haven't decided fully yet. I haven't committed to doing that just yet, but I have something like 7 or 8 like main characters, good guy characters, and so I wanted to come up with something to balance it out. Anyways, John, who would have been our main character, is one of our main characters still. Is from our realm, is from Earth essentially, and John is from a different state. He's living in a different state, and Zanzibar he was performing in Las Vegas, right, in Nevada, and he's running from the police on foot on the strip, and he ducks into one of two hotels or into a little tiny bar in between them, which I'm gonna do here next. So, anyways, that's to say, so I got like a million of these. It's like 93 different rooms, and I'm only on like location. It's like 8 9. So although this says 3, because John comes from Cerulean, and so he was introduced early in the story. But I'm actually up to 8, and like this is 9 because this is a new location, whereas this is from our realm. This is actually in Enchanted Lands here. It's the naming scheme that I went through, and I'm still not sure if I'm not going to change it again because the naming scheme is just, I don't know, it's kind of all over the place, and I was doing it to help me be able to see locations, and eventually you're gonna have a single room, like a regular adventure game, right? A text adventure or a graphic adventure where you enter a room, right? So if there's a light switch and you turn it on, and you leave and you come back, the light switch is still on. I don't have any save state or anything in it. This form is just a choose your own adventure form, and there's a reason I'm doing that too. Yeah, thanks, Mom. Um, I'm doing this in phases, and mostly for me, mostly because I have a problem like visualizing certain things. I can come up with ideas really good. I can come up with stories and stuff, but the detail of actually seeing what they look like in all of its detail, I have a kind of a problem with that, and kind of wrapping my whole head around. So I decided, you know what? I'll break it down. I'll put it down to its simplest form, and then I'll build on it. I'll constantly evolve the engine and the game to where it's a full point and click adventure game like you would play like in the early '90s, right? Secret of Monkey Island, uh, Day of the Tentacle, King's Quest, Space Quest, those Quest games, Beneath the Steel Sky from Revolution Software, those kind of games. It's going to be fully interactive at the end, but I'm doing this in phases. So the choose your own adventure phase is the first phase, and it's the easiest. But it also seems to be taking the longest now. Why? Because I have the whole story laid out, and I have to actually go in and add these choices in here and stuff. And so hopefully the subsequent phases will be shorter to finish. But even this is not a true choose your own adventure game. A choose your own adventure game usually the old books, right, that started in the late '70s, and they lasted until the 1990s, I believe. And then there's other series from different publishers that were quote unquote game books, where you're presented with a choice and you turn to one page or the other in order to further the story. And then usually there's a few bad endings. There's maybe one or two good endings, and then there's a couple of neutral endings. And then when you hit the ending, you have to go back to the beginning and restart. Well, because in an adventure game, I don't want you to get stuck, and I don't want there to be problems having to save. Like the Sierra point and click adventures. Eventually, it'll be a full point and click, fully interactive. Inventory, the whole 9 yards. But because I'm thinking ahead of when it's going to be either a text adventure or the full on point and click graphic adventure, you're not going to have any dead ends. I'm not going to do deaths. Sierra was really famous for you dying like a lot. In fact, eventually they kind of learned around the time of King's Quest 6. They made the puzzles where it's not too bad, and you do die. There's some places where you die, that's a conscious choice that they made. But they made sure that you were never stuck. Like the older ones, you had to make sure you saved frequently, saved often, and then when you were at some later point, you had to have an item that you never picked up, but you were allowed to go forward in the story. So you had to go back to the save game and stuff. Eventually, they learned their lesson. Lucasfilm Games, right, which is George Lucas's game division, Lucasfilm Games, that changed into LucasArts later. Their whole deal was to not punish you for like exploring and trying like different things, right? And so they even made a joke about it. There's a one point where you find Herman Toothrot on a cliff or something, and somehow you manage to like fall over the edge of the cliff, and then pops up this little Sierra, you died, blah blah blah, and then it turns off or whatever, or you click it and it turns off, anyways, and then Guybrush pops back up and lands back on the surface, and he says, rubber tree plant or something like that, kind of poking fun at the Sierra games. So the way this is structured is there's not going to be any dead ends. There's not going to be any like multiple endings or whatever. Not that I couldn't put a multiple ending if I wanted to, but I have a particular story that I'm doing. Yeah, right. Yes, yes, yes. Right. So yeah, just a single uh, fortress where everything can go wrong. Yeah. Maybe. Maybe like Dwarf Fortress. I don't know. I don't know if Bentoman is actually watching or listening to the stream. So if he's or not, but anyways, that's okay. That's beside the point. Anyways, yeah. So it's gonna be like a single ending, and it's a story. So it's mostly linear. All these rooms, they're linear right now. But I'm adding the choices in there at this point, and so because of that, it's not like a true choose your own adventure. It's gonna be more like an interactive book, I guess, right? Be kind of interesting as a book form, right? You buy a book, a print book, and it's like a choose your own adventure, but it's just more of how you experience it. So you make a choice, and so the text ends up being flavored a little bit differently. You know, it's not a proper game like a real choose your own adventure game, like toward multiple endings and stuff. So that's what this is going to be like. But I still need the kind of the game part where you have different choices, so it's not so linear. And then later on, I'll turn them into actual puzzles. They'll be actual puzzles instead of just these like different choices. Gotcha. Focusing more on the mechanics with the inventory and such. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so with now that I wasted how much time did I? When did I start this? I started this at noon. So what? 45 minutes now. Yeah, right. Linear storyline. Yeah, and it's um they do a thing where you do have the non-linear elements. Obviously, um, I could make this into a movie or a cartoon or whatever. Some sort of narrative medium or a book or something, right? Um, so the game part is you get to play it, right? But it's still a narrative game. Narrative based game means you're telling a story, even if it's an action like a first person shooter or whatever. You're still telling basically a linear story, but you can how you play the levels out. Dictates how the kind of like the game goes, right? So it's still um, a narrative story. Still has to have a single story, right? Yeah. So okay, so let me pull up my actual notes here. That's this one. And okay, before I go through anything here, these are plot points for each of the characters, and this is stuff I had like written all through. Actually, like handwritten notes. Each of the plot points and their backstories and things. Not fully extensive on the villains entirely. Maybe like it should have been, because at some point I had stopped doing it. But and then this is when I was actually building the this here is when I was building the actual individual scenes or whatever. And I think the cutscene was just because they're just story beats that don't have any like choices or whatever here. But I basically pasted like random stuff in here. Like here's like it's all numbered here. Zanzibar stage. I don't even know what Zanzibar stage 7. I think this is. I was having Grok like come up with like names and stuff, and it wasn't doing a very good job at some point. And possible poems for the sign the library wizard you, and just whenever I come up with stuff, I just add junk to the end of this this document here. So um, this talks about there's a point in the beginning where you interact with this dwarf named Burley, who's actually looking for some stuff that will be like important later. And then here's ideas for Zanzibar's entry into Enchanted Lands. Zanzibar the Great, fraudulent magician evading Las Vegas police, complete to either the Lilliputian Hotel and Convention Center or the Blefuscu Hotel and Convention Center, both massive rivals on the Strip, or duck into Gulliver's Bar and Lounge, a dinky bar between them. The hotel is named after Gulliver's travels, have a long-standing feud over which is bigger, sparked by a dyslexic architect misnaming the Lilliputian. Uh, the idea is that somehow he makes them super big instead of small because Lilliput and Blefuscu are these little islands in Gulliver's Travels. Well, okay, so it's fairy god college, right? For fairy godmothers. If you're like you're this old lady, you always dreamed to be a fairy godmother. You can come to Enchanted Lands, and you could live out this fantasy of being a fairy godmother, basically. So fairy god college uh, is for that, and we also have a night school. Night school spelled with a K, K-N-I-G-H-T. Originally, like I called it like Knights Academy or something, but night school kind of sounds like night school as in N-I-G-H-T, like you go to school at night, to catch up on courses. But this is like a little play on words, so it's night school it's for nights. So if you come to Enchanted Lands to be a knight and like slay a dragon, you would go to night school. If you want to be a wizard, you go to Wizard University or Wizard U, and if you want to be a princess, you go to Princess Prep. And so these are each of the four like areas in Enchanted Lands where you can kind of live out your fantasies, right? Or you can go to what I call it the Renaissance Fair. I had a thought of a joke because okay, so there's like these four lands. It's like a clover leaf, like a four leaf clover, and the stem is this deal where all the shops and hotels and stuff are, the taverns and whatever, and I had a couple names for it. One I was gonna call it Orthogon Alley as a kind of a pun on Harry Potter, Diagon Alley, Orthogon Alley because it's straight, not diagonal or whatever. It was just supposed to be a little bit a joke on the name. And then the other thing I thought of that I think I'm going to call it is the Renaissance Fair because a Renaissance Fair, right, is where they dress up in like medieval times, and I think it would help making generating at least some face for the characters. Oh yeah, yeah. I've been kind of thinking about that, doing the visuals because the visuals don't show up until about phase 5, I think. I have to pull it back up to remember which phase it is, but I have a feeling that I'm probably not getting that many views on the streams or on even on the update videos because there's nothing visually interesting. It's just me talking and it's just text mostly. Although when I give you the story is kind of cool. So at least that's a good part. But sounds like you figured some visual details for the characters. Um, More or less, kind of what they look like. Not so much. John's generic. He's like 20 something or 19 or something. I forget what I set his age at. He's just a human from our world. Zanzibar is going to be in some sort of magician's getup. Maybe the typical like coat and tails in top hat and stuff like a typical kind of magician. These are all the kind of like typical, I guess, stereotypical um, kind of characters. I guess you know. It's obviously something I got to work on, but so uh, Hewart is gonna wear like a regular wizard's garb, pointy blue hat and blue robe and all that kind of stuff. Um, Max is gonna be a little bit different. If you've ever watched the Doctor Who, and I mean classic Doctor Who, that is up the ones up until the '90s, Sylvester McCoy. Um, Classic Doctor Who, the Master. Um, um, I'm thinking of Max looking a little bit like him. Or there's a mentalist called Max. His name was Max, wasn't it? Max Maven. And so I'm kind of considering using him as sort of a model for Max. In fact, I can probably I wonder if I could pull them up here. See here, Master. That's it. Who? We'll just do images. Let's see if I can do images. Hopefully it's classic Doctor Who. Here's Roger Delgado. the way he looks. His is a more elderly gentleman kind, and then I forget the name of the actor who played the Master in during the Tom Baker years. Let's see something here. The Master, Doctor Who. Uh, this is the one I'm. This is the guy I'm used to. Anthony Ainley, British actor. He apparently died in 2004, but he was the Master in a lot of the Tom Baker Doctor Who's, and so I'm thinking, th- here, I'm thinking like this guy. This guy is kind of a model for Max here. Trying to make the characters in Blender. Um, I'm planning on doing 2D hand drawn characters, cartoon. Now I am gonna use Blender for one thing. I'm gonna use Blender. I'm gonna use Grease Pencil, and the other thing is maybe perhaps if I get far enough, I'm going to make the backgrounds, the environments, 3D environment that are painted to look like they're textured to look like they're hand painted, like you're looking at hand painted cartoon background. You know, classic Disney style, like Pinocchio or maybe not Snow White because Snow White was a like a watercolor style, but anyways, classic Disney cartoon backgrounds, and so you won't even be able to tell that it's in 3D until the camera moves, sort of thing. That's what I want to do. I don't know if I'll even get that far. I don't even know how far I'm going to get in this thing. I might end up quitting like I always quit everything else. But I figure I don't think I'm going to quit though. I'm not planning on quitting anytime soon. So hopefully I'll get to that point. So they'll be hand drawn. Uh, Yeah, well, I'm not really good at Blender. I've learned a little bit enough to get around in the interface, and I actually use it for editing my video clips. So I'm pretty adept at pretty much using the interface. I'm not that great at actually doing any Blender stuff, which is another thing I'm gonna have to learn to use. I'm gonna have to, it's a process. That's kind of why I'm doing these streams and why I'm doing these videos. I figured there's so many free games out there. Let me pull up Max Maven here. Um, there we go, American Magician, and his look is almost like the Master in Doctor Who, in a sense. This is what I picture Max looking like a little bit. Anyways, what was I saying? Um, I forgot what I was saying. Something about Blender and uh. Anyways, I know enough to get around, and oh yeah, okay. So the reason I'm doing the streaming stuff is, it's incredibly competitive now. Anybody can make a game, and you got the tools. All the tools are free now. You got tons of different engines. Like you didn't used to have that maybe 20 years ago. Back in the 2000s, there was a couple of handful of deals, and there were paid deals, and not like you have now. Not with all the different stuff, the free stuff and everything. But so I figured, instead of focusing on trying to make something that will make money, like I'll make the game and I'll do the marketing and do all this stuff, instead of trying to compete against everybody and trying to kind of uh, and trying to cater to somebody that was going to actually buy my game, I'm thinking maybe I'll release it for free. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to hopefully generate enough interest that people start watching the streams. Maybe I can get some support that ways, because there's tons and tons of games. I can get out. You've heard of Exodus, right? Which is basically a big collection of thousands and thousands of DOS games. Here, let's see some Exodus. Uh, which is this, and it's like I don't know, it's like It's like a full release, right? 638 gig, and when it's installed, it's like a it's like a terabyte or something, terabyte and a half, or it's not quite a terabyte. Like it'll fit in less space, but and they have like a light version, but um, all told, it's almost a terabyte, and it's all these games, and you can play all the old DOS games with this thing. And then there are giveaways, and then there are yeah. One of those. Yeah, it seems like adventure games have gotten this big resurgence here in the last 10 years or so. So it's still a good viable game genre, anyways. But so I was kind of going, you know what? So I'll focus on this. Maybe I'll get some support. Maybe I'll get some people that like me enough or like the project enough that they'll want to support me later. And so that's why I'm doing this. I have this like long term deal. I at one point I said I was going to finish this in a year. Well, okay. Originally, it was going to be 5 years because of how long everything takes, and I'm just one person, and I have a limited amount of time, usually each day. Um, but then I was like, okay, I'm gonna up the development time. I'm gonna try to get it done in a year, and this phase has already taken me dang almost 6 months just to get to this point, and that's not I'm not making very much progress real quick. About the competitiveness, it can still sell fairly well. Well, that doesn't mean I won't put it out for sale. Obviously, anybody that watches the streams or watches the update videos or they like watching the behind the scenes stuff, how to make it, and so other people won't watch it. And then even if you were my biggest fan and liked everything I do, even the boring stuff, even me going off on tangents and like not doing stuff half the time or falling asleep on streams like I do sometimes, uh, even if you were the biggest person that consumed the most of my stuff, you're still not going to see everything that I do in there. You're not going to. You have life. You have friends. You have school or work or you know, and it would be impossible to watch everything I put out. So that being said, that means that there's going to be plenty of people that haven't watched any of this, and even though I give you complete spoilers, it's not going to be spoiled for them because they're not going to watch the whole thing, or they might deliberately not watch pieces because they don't want to see any spoilers or whatever. So I'm not even worried about spoilers. But it kind of takes the pressure off. So instead of having to do a deadline and have to make sure that I got to do this and I got to get it sold and stuff. I'm laid back. I can take as long as I need to make the game, and I can just work on it till it's finished. And I don't have to have a deadline. I can set a deadline on myself just so I can make sure that I make progress quick enough. That I'm not just kind of idling or noodling around. And so I just figured it would be better if I just did it this way, and then I should show you everything behind the scenes of how I do it, how I come up with ideas, uh, you know, how I implement it, the coding. When I get to the art part, which like you said, I should probably start doing some concepting and doing some sketches. I'm not very good at drawing. I'm okay at drawing. My best thing is I'm able to copy cartoon characters really easily. I mean, really well. I can draw non-cartoon stuff okay. In other words, it's not horrible. It's not really art, but it's not like something like totally horrible. I can't really come up with a bunch of stuff out of my head, out of imagination though, and that's another thing that I need to do. But anyways, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do, a lot of stuff to learn, and so that's what I'm doing. Okay, let's see. Check out this video once you have opportunity about why point and click adventures matter. Uh, yeah, sure. In fact, I even just going to pull this up here so that I can watch it later. And the microphone is muted because I have in the other window I've got my stream running, and I muted the audio, so I'll have to unmute that. I have to unmute that every time. I always forget too that I did that. So when I look at um, when I look at YouTube, anyways, it doesn't matter. I'm rambling, I guess. Okay, so okay, so we're back here. Okay, so did get barred between them hotels. Okay, so the idea is maybe the architects of the Lilliputian and Blefskew were a little bit dyslexic, and so they named these huge hotels after the little countries in Gulliver's Travels. And then another little twist is Gulliver's Bar and Lounge is this tiny little bar like in between them, where there's an alley out the back. Okay. Back alley to open a portal into Enchanted Land. Zanzibar, thinking they're magicians, follows them from his chosen location, either the Lilliputian, the Blefuscu, or Gulliver's, into the alley, entering the portal before realizing it's not a door, landing him in Enchanted Lands. He also has a crow that's been following him above as he's going into the hotels. The crow is actually useful in Zanzibar's act by being able to steal valuables from people entranced by Zanzibar's feats of prestidigitation. There's also a possibility that they could have portals in both hotels. Yeah, this is the thing that I opted, because I was thinking maybe they all three would dump into this alley, but I'm thinking that each hotel will have a portal. We'll assume that that different groups of wizards from Enchanted Lands are in each of the different hotels, and then the it could be one convention center in one hotel that they go to both hotels. As a side question before you start hacking the story, do you find Godot's workflow as productive as Venture Game Creator you were using earlier? I wasn't. Okay, so I didn't actually use. Okay, if you're Adventure Game Creator, are you talking about the Unity plugin? Because I didn't really. I've never really actually used that. I looked into it, but I haven't actually used that. I messed around with the Adventure Game Studio, which is originally meant to be able to create Sierra-like games for DOS, and then eventually it was adapted to Windows. And I fooled around in AGS for a little while, and then I basically I came to a problem with the interface, with my interface. I created a Pi interface, which allowed you to do more options than the traditional point and click. A few icons where you have like walk and look and talk and whatever. And I'm from the old days where a text adventure or the old Sierra games had a text parser in it, and you could type in different things. And so when it went to point and click, I felt like it was limiting. Eventually, I got used to the point and click, but I had this idea of creating a pie menu, and so it would allow you more options. And so I started with that in AGS, and then I got to a point where AGS wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, and I couldn't figure it out. So I basically put it on hold. Yeah. Yeah. Um. So. Uh. They're completely different workflow, anyways. Really, because the Adventure Game Studio is made specifically to make a point and click. Specifically make a point and click adventure, and using Godot and using Redot. I'm using Redot, of course, but using Redot, I actually have to build the engine and stuff myself. Because it's a regular game engine, right? So the actual adventure game part of it, I have to actually build myself versus being a tool that's actually specifically made for making those kind of games. And there's a bunch of reasons why I chose Godot originally, that I switched to Redot. I just switched to Redot just because I like the idea. I like the fact that they weren't stopping you from with if you're conservative or whatever. Like the Godot community manager of the Discord and of the their X account, they were like banning people for being objecting to some of these issues popping up and stuff. And so I was just like, yeah, I am not with that either. And so Redot, they came out at that time, and so I just decided to go ahead and use Redot. Anyways, that's not really important. But so I have to create this stuff on my own. And like I said, there's a whole, like, I went through a bunch of stuff. I looked through different dailies. There's Rempy, and there's like RPG Maker, and there's a couple of different things that I could use to make adventure games. For the text portion, I could have used Twine, and I decided, well, I'd rather, if I'm going to build up to using my own system, and I'm trying to do these different methods, because eventually I'm gonna have a text parser. It's gonna be like a regular text adventure. Then I'm gonna start adding graphics and sound, and then it's gonna be, it's gonna be interactive with the mouse and stuff, and it's going to evolve. And I decided, instead of using like different engines, I find one engine that I could do everything in, and so that's when I decided to do Godot. I was thinking about Unity and Unreal. Unreal is a little bit complex for something like this in a way. Uh, and then Unity was having that problem. They were doing the thing about with their runtime fees or whatever at one point, and so I kind of stayed away and went, I'd rather not deal with that. I'd rather deal with something like open source, right? So Godot was the natural choice for that. Okay, so here, let me actually run this for you. So the actual game part here, and it's basically this text. Here's technically a room. You could call it a scene, or you could call it a page, or whatever. It's all the same thing. Okay, so I hit 1 to start, and here's your text, right? Let's go a little ways until we hit, okay. Cooper walks over to the giant crystal ball, starts to peer into it. He instructs the crystal ball to show him 3 likely candidates to help him figure out what's going on in the kingdom. The ball shows 3 likely candidates: Daniel, John, and Harry. Hit 1 if you wish to pick Daniel. Hit 2 if you wish to pick John. Hit 3 if you wish to pick Harry. And I'm going through this back and forth because choose your own adventure games are quote unquote second person. First person, right, is your point of view. I did this, I did that. I opened the door, I walked into the room. Third person is they walked into the door, they opened the door. They sat down at the table. And the second person is in between. It's you did this, right? If you wish to pick Daniel, really, it's if Hubert picks Daniel. To pick Daniel, you hit 1, whatever. So occasionally I'll slip into second person, and then I'll go into like I'll go into like third person, because really it's supposed to be third person. It's not in the Choose Your Own Adventure book. They made the player or the reader as generic as possible, so that you were basically you were in the role of the protagonist. JSON storyline feeding into the gameplay, decision making. Yeah. And this is it's a really simple thing. Okay. So basically, you hit one of the 9 number keys, 1 through 9. 0 is always reserved for quit, and you can also do it on the keypad. So it's a really super basic interaction. These choices, they're part of the description. So if you don't have the text in there, they won't know which one to press. So I have to actually put that in there. Later on, I'll probably have a separate deal. I'm not really sure. It depends on how I evolve the thing. But so if you want to pick Daniel here, looking over Daniel, Hubert sees him getting bullied, but then go through the help of an Okinawan karate instructor, overcomes his problems through martial arts tournament. Well, maybe Daniel isn't quite the right fit, so Hubert goes back to the crystal ball. Hit 1 to pick Harry, hit 2 to pick John. Maybe you pick Harry, and it says looking over Harry's life, he knows he's already a wizard. And if you don't know this little veiled pun, I don't know if you call it a pun, but maybe an Easter egg or what do you call it? A reference, homage? I don't know, a reference to Daniel LaRusso in Karate Kid and Harry Potter here. So evidently, Hubert is looking at both Harry Potter and Daniel LaRusso to pick, and he decides not to do them. Now you have to pick the one that's left, of course, is John, which is the character that I created, which was originally the first the main character, but he's one of the main characters. Hubert picks John and decides somehow to send a Quicksilver ticket via his favorite candy bar, pulling 3 hats from his head. Okay, and it's all this stuff. Okay, so this is just basically it. It's just this text here, right? Okay, so to show you how it actually works, it's really simple. First, go into the project settings, into the key bindings here, input map, and if you can see, there's choice 1, choice 2. These are the names of the dealies, and they're actually the number keys. So these are all the number keys, and then of course KP stands for the keypad. So you can also hit the keypad if you have the numlock on to go to the different choices. Okay, so if we go into Room Manager, let's go to the input section here. Okay, so the input processes, right? Not the console toggle here, but this checks all the choices. It says event is action pressed, action name, and action name is a choice 1 through 9. So it goes through each, it cycles through each number, and then attaches the number to the word choice for the action name, and then it gets to the door, and then it changes the room to the door, basically. Okay, and door is just basically a node that has a it has a destination, it has a choice code, choice number. Yeah, actually, I can just go to it directly. So if you notice here, there's it's called choice, and the reason it's a string is because eventually you're going to type in words, go here, move north, whatever, pick up, get lamp, that sort of thing. And then the destination is actually the destination ID, basically, to the destination room. And of course, then there's the door ID there, right there. And then a room is just basically, this is a little bit more involved, but you're setting the ID here. Let's see, new label. It actually sets the label, which is basically a display name. You don't even see that in the game. But we have an array of doors, and then this is where it loads the stuff from the JSON files. Okay, and so that's the room class basically. If we go back to Room Manager and we go to Change Room, Load Room, it'll call Load Room, and it'll make sure that that it's there first. And then this viewer, which is essentially just a let's see if we can pull it up. Room viewer. See, room viewer is just a description. Okay, line edit is something I added later for like a what do you call that? Console. You can switch rooms if you know the exact room name. You can switch rooms with this little sort of console thing that I made. Okay, so if we go to 2D, we go to the room viewer. Okay, description. Let's look at the description text real quick. Wait a second. It's kind of weird that you can't see it right now. You should be able to see the room viewer. See, this is visible. The description text should be visible. See, I got a bunch of like empty text in here. Description. Okay, let's just Close that. In fact, reload save scene. Reload it so it doesn't do anything. A room is a visual scene with a new background and characters, or just a logical story fragment. It's simply a piece of text. It's a logical story fragment, like you said. Let's go. Let's actually go to the room manager, room viewer. See, the room viewer is its own scene. I don't know why the text isn't showing up. I'm not sure. This is just a node, so it doesn't have a display to it yet. Although this is a oh, this is a control node. I guess that's because I changed the different things, control node and stuff, so you won't be able to see it. Okay, that doesn't really matter that much. Let's go back to the script, and I'll just kind of tell you how it works. Viewer.text.text equals current room description. So the description is just basically this chunk of text here. So let's go back to editor map here. Oh, darn you! Reload save scene. Okay, let's go to. Okay, let's go to this one. If you notice, this is the description. This whole thing is the description text here. So it gets copied to the viewer text, and the viewer text is what's shown on the screen. And I got, I did this in like basically a few hours, few days or whatever. So this basically a room is just this description, this text here, and then a couple other details like an ID and the name and the doors and whatever. So yeah, so it all works. This is essentially the game engine. It's basically the game itself here. And so let's go back to here. Okay. Okay, so right now I guess I should shoot. It's almost time for my break. So I've been talking, and I don't mind talking, but I didn't get anything done just yet. I might have to start on this on the other side of the break. So let's see if I can't figure out what to put here first. Evading the police. Okay. So when I start out, I usually leave the original text there until I'm completely done with the page. So we'll say something like back in not sure how I should do that. Back on Earth, because Earth makes it sound like you're on another planet when really it's another realm or dimension or however you want to say it. Back in our world, a man dress. I thought I had come up with a with what Zanzibar actually looked like here. So I was picturing he's a guy that's I don't know, whatever you think of a stereotypical like magician, Oh, think of Lance Burton, I guess, or think of the ILM logo guy. Okay, let's see if we can pull that up. This one, and let's look up ILM. Whoop. ILM logo. Images. That's not it though, which is interesting. I mean, it is. Industrial Light Magic. Oh. Industrial Light and Magic. I guess logo is what I wanted. Here, let's see some here. Logo. There's a picture where it's a guy coming out of the middle of this gear, and he has a top hat, and what? There we go. This deal. And so really Zanzibar is going to look like this guy. He's a 20th century magician's got the top hat. He's got his magic wand. He's got coat and tails basically, and yeah. Anyways, this is the kind of guy I was picturing. Uh, Traditional magician. I don't know how you say that. And a lot of them got it. The top hat and the suit and that sort of thing. Anyways, that's what Zanzibar looks like. What he will look like, something similar to that. He's gonna have this pencil thin mustache. Uh, he's gonna look like he's from the 20s, maybe, dressed in coat and tails. And here, let me go back here. Um, Dressed in a 1920s style tuxedo with tails and top hat and tails, is running at full speed. Yeah, yeah. That I mean, that's the 20th century sort of rich guy kind of get up. What rich people would wear, right? To a party. Uh, Here, R2 robot. I'm actually talking to via a live stream, so he's replying back to me in here in IRC. Yeah. I mean, I suppose you could actually go into the chat if you wanted to, unless you're not logged into to YouTube, which I don't mind either way. It doesn't matter. It's both on the same window, so it's cool. Okay, so, and actually, I don't want to. Here's the thing. I don't actually want to do a lot of details. Okay, so this is basically what I call. I guess you call it what, the event pass. I have these deals like, right, Zanzibar the Great magician con artist managed to escape the police into the lands. That's all I have. It's like one line, and I don't want to get much more descriptive than that. Only descriptive enough to show what's in the scene, what's going on. Because later on, I will do a full narrative pass, which basically means I'm going to have paragraphs. It's going to be like you're reading a book. He's typing here, and you're not. Yeah, sorry about that, R2 robot. I guess, if he doesn't have a Google account, and this is the only way he communicates. Although, I could do a little more typing so it doesn't seem so weird. And it looks like, oh, it's about break time, so you're gonna have to wait to hear about the introduction of Zanzibar here until I get back from my break. So I have to go on break here. Query of good would work too. Okay. So I'm going on my break, and I'll be back in about 30 minutes. So if you're still watching, cool. If not, then I understand. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to the on break scene, and I'm gonna cut my mic until I come back. So I will talk to you a bit in about half an hour. Pick up my mic and then I'll be back. Okay, mic's back on, and let's go back to desktop. Okay, there we go. Desktop. Okay, I am back. That's cool. And thanks to Kahan and Rook and Bomb in the Game Dev IRC channel on Liberia.chat network. And I am back, and we're actually going to see if we can get through the one page here. So I have I know I'm a little bit late, like always. I'm gonna try to be a little less late. Actually, I'm gonna try to. I'm probably going to change how I do this when I do it or whatever. I'm considering doing this in two parts, two-hour sessions, about hour and a half to an hour and 45 minute session, uh, and do them as two separate streams, one in the morning and one in the evening, so that I'll have a chunk in the middle of the day to do whatever. But it will require some stuff with how I go to when I go to sleep and when I come in here and all that stuff. So some of you guys will be able to watch when I'm on at night, and some in the morning. It might make for a better um, might make for better timing. It might be worse timing though too. I'm not sure, but if I do this, then I'll do it in like two sessions, and there'll be two different times of the day, but it'll still be the same amount of time. Anywho, let's get back to here. Okay, so bar great edition extraordinaire. Okay, I actually don't even want to do that. Uh, Zanzibar the Great edition and Thief is running down the Las Vegas Strip, trying to escape police on foot. Zanzibar arrives I don't know where to actually put it, because I decided to avoid any like legal issues. I don't know if there's any legal issues, but just in case there are, that I was gonna actually use actual Las Vegas like hotel or anything or casino or whatever. So I decided to come up with a two fictional hotels, rival hotels, and a one little bar that's also fictional. So I don't even know the layout of Las Vegas of the Strip or anything. Eventually, I'll probably have to do a little bit of that. The same thing with John is in Oregon, and he walks home from work from a library, and so I'll have to figure out where the logistics of that is too. But this is actually a real world location, whereas the wherever John comes from doesn't necessarily have to be. I don't have to set it in anywhere in particular, so I don't have as much of a problem just saying it's generally somewhere in Oregon. Um, okay, so uh, let's see something here. Let's actually do something here, which is let's Las Vegas Strip. Okay, well, I guess we'll go to Wikipedia first here. Right. Anywho's, okay. Um, here. Okay, so, okay. Las Vegas Strip, Clark County, Nevada, known for its concentrated resort hotels and casinos. Strip is known, 4.2 miles long, south of Las Vegas City. Limits in city limits in the incorporated towns of Paradise and Winchester, but is often referred to simply as Las Vegas. Actually, south of the Las Vegas city limits. I did not know that. That's quite interesting. Um, but that is quite all right. Oh, the strip. Oh, there's the strip. Hmm, interesting. Um, okay, Sands Avenue. Interesting. 'Spring Mountain Road. I'm kind of looking around to give me an idea of where he would be going. 20 miles. Interesting. In Southgate. Is that a hotel casino? There's one right there. I see. I'm just trying to figure out. I'm trying to decide if how I can say this is running down the strip, and so this is what I'm thinking, right? You run up, and let's say you're walking down the street, and you come to a hotel. Well, the other hotel is going to be a ways away, unless it's across the street, unless they're like across the street facing each other. But it's going to be a ways away. Like you wouldn't necessarily see the other hotel or the bar necessarily. I mean, not that you couldn't from where you are. I don't know. I mean, I have to either do a street view or actually have to go there, which is I'm not. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. We're kind of stuck here in Florida now for the duration, you might say, unless somehow we came into a bunch of money and we're able to travel and do stuff, whatever. But so I'm thinking I want the idea is I want them to be able to see both hotels and the bar as he's coming on onto it. How about running towards that? That's probably better. Las Vegas Strip, trying to escape police on foot. Uh, uh, let's see, as Zanzibar, okay, as Zanzibar, I was gonna say, as he hits the strip, as he gets to the intersection, to, well, I guess, I don't know, I guess we could say some random intersection, just because we're describing it in text or whatever. I don't know how I'll show it in, when I actually, animate it, actually have it, some graphics, but some random, intersection. He notices two large hotels and a bar in between them, named the Lilliputian. That's actually Blefuscu. It's actually Blefuscu. Is it like that? No, it's like that. Blefuscu. Wait. Blefuscu. Uh, and the Gulliver's Bar and Lounge. I don't know. I don't know if Bar and Lounge is a proper name. Okay, there we go. And now, hit 1 if you want Zanzibar to enter the Lilliputian. Hit 2 for Zanzibar to go into the Blefuscu Hotel and Casino, I guess. Wait, actually, and Convention Center. The Lilliputian, we'll say a hotel. Not one for random villages, because we're not going to random villages just right now. Hit 3 to enter the Gulliver's Bar. Okay, so now we got 3 choices. Okay, so the next thing I do is, let's see, let's zoom out here. And, okay, so these are basically other locations that don't have incoming, because the way I'm loading these in, here, let's go into the editor map, and the load all, where's load all rooms? Load all rooms. Okay, so if file name begins with 009 break, and so there's some of them that it's linked to that don't have their rooms loaded, so they just kind of hang out there in space like that. And then the other thing I do, because of the way I did the plugin, and because I don't want to spend any extra time afterward. Okay, wait a second here. Let's do something else here. Yeah. Um, Let me see some here. If I can shift. Can I do that? Yes, I can do that. And there. So that means everything should be selected except for this main. This is the main, I guess, the main node or whatever. I don't know. But okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm moving this up because this is where the new rooms appear when I hit the plus. Now I could have wrote some extra code to actually be able to add rooms like wherever I put the mouse or whatever, and this is just kind of a quickie way to do it. So in order to keep uh, it wherever I'm working on the tree, I I move everything up so that it's in line with this, so that I don't have that far to move to drag the new rooms. Okay, so we got 3 different locations here, so we're gonna add 3 different rooms. Okay. Um, okay, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy Cerulean because really this is another Cerulean copy. And honestly, it being a separate, like being Las Vegas versus the other thing, and being a different character and everything, should probably have its own location. But I'm just kind of going with what I already have existing here, and I'll probably eventually rename all the rooms. Although that's gonna take forever to do. I think uh, if I ever want to do that. Yeah, I'm not really sure how I will manage that because if I wait until I'm completely done, there's 93 original rooms. Uh, let's say I have 4 times the rooms on average. On average, there for every room, there's actually 3 more, so a total of 4 for each. That's going to be about 400 pages. And if I'm all done and I have to redo the location, the IDs or whatever, um, yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to have a program written for sure, maybe in Python or something. I'll have to get Grok or ChatGPT or somebody to help me write a program that will go and rename everything to whatever the new names will be. Yeah. And then I have to have some way of being able to remember uh what's what. Like I'll have to have like a directory. I guess the old Sierra games, I'm not sure about the LucasArts games. I have to ask about that, but the old Sierra games supposedly uh labeled each of their rooms as numbers. Or each scene is a separate number, like a unique number. It's like usually a 3-digit number, and which I can do, but how are they logically connected? Or do I just not use numbers at all, or do I use all numbers? If I use all numbers, that means that you, from the outside, can't look in and automatically tell what goes to where, and that would be where I have to have some sort of a directory or something. Um, Maybe I can have a thing that changes the IDs only and not the names. I might have to individually change the names though, specifics to specific things. Maybe that's all that should all be. Maybe all the names should actually be unique, completely unique name. no 1, 2, or whatever. That was just the idea was to help me group areas together, which would actually eventually be a single room. In other words, for instance, the lobby of the Bats in the Belfry Motel is a place where they all go back to. So it's like kind of like a hub area kind of area at different points in the story. And I have like multiple pages that refer to that. But eventually I'll have a room. It'll just be a room that you enter into, and it'll only have one page, you know? And it'll be just basically a change in location is basically what it's going to represent. So any change in location, if you go to a different room in the same house, if you go to, you know, if you're representing a street by a number of buildings or whatever, or like you go maybe it's a street and it's like the north entrance of the street or the south entrance looking north, and north entrance looking south. So it'll be something like that, but I won't be doing that for a little while. Or I could just leave them as is, and being as weird and cluttered up and stuff as they are, uh, it won't matter as much. Anyways, yeah. Having locations. I am going to group them later. I'm going to have different choice sets, for the different times, but they'll be like single locations. Like the lobby will be one location. It'll be a single file. But because of the different time periods, they'll have different choice sets. And maybe a different, kind of different description. Like a general description will be the same of the stuff that remains the same, and then there'll be a event specific description. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and copy. Let's go ahead here, and we're gonna say paste, but then I'm gonna call this 7. So then we're gonna do here, paste, call this 8, and do here, and we're gonna call this 9. Okay. And this isn't going to be that that complicated or that expansive either, because he's just going to go in one of these. He's going to follow a group of wizards, all kinds of people. A group of wizards are going to go to some back room or some convention area or something, and then they'll head out towards their portal, and then they end up in Enchanted Lands, and that will be a page that I got done today. So hopefully I'll get at least that done. I don't know if I'll get the next done, but I'll get that done today. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and save it. Now, I don't know who's watching, right? Or listening. Well, I know Rick is listening. But I don't know who else is watching. Bomb might be busy. Gahan is in a discussion, so he's probably busy too, which is fine. But I will show you as long as you're watching. What did I just do here? Let's go back to favorites. Go back to here. Okay. And all right, so you notice here Cerulean 6, right? Well, right now we are at I'm gonna save room data. Boom. And go back here. And now we have 7, 8, 9. They don't have anything in them, but they're there. Now I am going to go ahead and I don't even know if I'm gonna. I have anything extra in here, because they're just gonna follow them into a deal, and I don't know if there's gonna be extra choices in here or not. So let's go ahead and let's go to the door specs. Let's open. We're gonna copy this to each of these. Exact same choice and everything. Okay. Do same thing here. Paste, enter, and we'll do the same thing here. Okay. Paste, enter. I don't strictly need the enter, but I'm doing it anyways. Okay. And Cerulean 6 is going to do this instead. And that is copy that. Copy. Now let's go back over here to this door. And we're going to paste 7 in there. Whoop. The semicolon was meant to be a like an end of line kind of delimiter, and right now there's not really a need for it, but it's there anyways. Let's go ahead and there we go. Paste. That'd be 7. Copy. Paste. Paste. And we're gonna make this choice 1, or that's choice 2. And this one's choice 3. And this one is Cerulean 9, and this one is Cerulean 8. Okay. And let's pull this down a little bit. Okay, I'll decide in a sec whether or not I'm going to add any more choices onto here. But let's go ahead and I'm going to do a save of the scene, although this doesn't really matter. I just like to do it to keep everything kind of concurrent with each other. This is the actual room data save, and bing. If you notice the 3 deals up here and the 3 deals down here, how they're together, I have no clue why they're together like that. When these actually, the lines actually go to the correct positions. I don't get why these don't, but it doesn't really matter because all I have to do is reload save scene and everything is right where it's supposed to be. Okay. This is kind of interesting. So, okay. So let's go ahead and save it again. Okay. So, the question is, do I want to do any kind of more complex interaction here than him just going and following those magicians in there? Now I can make the let's see, what did I do in the description here? Okay, so 1 and 2 actually goes to the hotels. 9 is actually to the bar. But of course I'll put different like text. I wonder. Let me think of something here. Let me pull up Grok. At this point today, I haven't actually looked at Grok at all. Let's go ahead and look at that. And whatever my previous April. What? Last 7 days. There we go. Overcoming writer's block. This is the one. Okay. Flee to. All right. Okay, so it's Monday, July 7th. And it's about 2:45 p.m. EDT, my time. So I've opted to allow you to pick either Lilliputian Hotel, Blefuscu, or Gulliver's Bar. Where each has their own room where the portal is already open. In the case of the bar, it's the alley behind the bar. Is there any room for any other interesting choices before it finally leads into a portal that goes back to Enchanted Lands? Let's see what Grok comes up with. We'll see. And let's see. Evading police, you can choose to enter the Lilliputian Blefuscu or Gulliver's Bar and Lounge, either which is a room containing an open portal to Enchanted Lands. For the bar, the portal's in the back alley. You're looking for additional interesting choices, all leading to the same outcome in Enchanted Lands. Additional choice ideas. Trick a guard. Use the con man trick, fake magic prop to distract a hotel security guard slipping into the room with the open portal. Search for disguise. Grabs a costume. Okay, so there's a possibility, right? They're all wizards. They're probably wearing their own wizard robes or something, and maybe he needs something suitable. That's a probably not a bad idea. Private bystander. The bar doesn't need anything special. He just needs to be able to talk to a wizard. There's gonna be like a wizard there at the bar by himself, polishing off some cocktail, and hmm, maybe there's a thing, and maybe there's a thing where he has a conversation. Maybe you don't get a conversation if you're going to the hotel. But you get a conversation if you talk to the guy at the bar. And it still needs to be something that you don't have to have later, but could still add flavor or add backstory, so that if you choose the bar, you actually get a little extra something, whereas you don't get those with the hotels. And it's not nothing that you need, though. Um, oh, that's another thought, too. They see him running towards here. The police might go into the bar, in which case he doesn't necessarily want to be caught as himself. Interesting. Hmm. Okay, this could be a funny deal, right? He needs disguise. Maybe all three of them he needs a disguise, but in the bar in particular. So what he can do is he goes in there. Police are coming up the street. He can see him. He sees this drunk guy in this like wizard's robe. Uh, he almost looks like he's going to a costume party or he's dressing up for some convention or something. Maybe he's like cosplaying, right? He's cosplaying as a wizard of some sort. Uh, it's the idea. That doesn't mean that's what he's actually doing. He's actually going to be a wizard. And generally, you need um, in the hotels um, the portal's already going to be open because they they just had a convention, right? They had the Wizards convention there in Las Vegas, but they happen to be real wizards, and so they have the Quicksilver, they have the thing to open the portal, and they automatically open the portal and they be going there. But maybe the guy at the bar doesn't. He actually needs a something Quicksilver. So maybe what happens is somehow he manages to con this wizard out of his wizard robe, and because this wizard is drunk, and so he actually gets to slip into Enchanted Lands because he happens to have it. Now, John had to say some magic words, so um, I don't know. He's not going to necessarily. Let's think for a second. Wizards aren't going to have typical tourist like a ticket. Although he could, because I'm sure wizards would actually go and visit Enchanted Lands for that. But the idea is that they are actually from Enchanted Lands, so then maybe they wouldn't need it. They actually know the magic. Maybe they already have Quicksilver on their person somehow. And actually, they only need to open one portal, so only one person actually needs the uh, the uh, um, the Quicksilver to get in there. Hmm. I have to think about that for a second. Okay. Okay. So maybe Zanzibar needs a disguise when he's in the hotels. They already have a portal opening and a bunch of wizards shuffling to a single portal. The bar will be a little interesting. He's got to talk to a drunk wizard, and then somehow the wizard tells him about the portal. Um, that might actually be kind of an interesting puzzle too. When I actually get to the text parser and the point and click stuff later, the actual puzzle should be. Um, there might be a full elaborate thing when I actually get to a puzzle. Because the idea is he's gonna need to think of something quick to be able to evade the police. So one of the things that he might do is he might go into the bathroom, but there's nothing there. Um, the other thing is talking to the bartender, talking to a patron, a random patron, talking to the wizard who's drunk in there, and I guess he figures. I guess the idea is that you, as a player, would actually have to have him talk to each of the characters in the bar in order to be able to get information from the wizard. Now, okay, so like here's the problem, right? The problem is he'll need Quicksilver and he'll need some magic words to actually go into the portal. Now, the wizard will probably have some of the Quicksilver, not necessarily a tourist ticket, but maybe an amulet or something sewn into the lining of his cloak, or something on his person, a coin maybe, or something. Maybe they each have to have a coin made of Quicksilver on their person, just in case they get separated and have to go back separately. In which case, him being in the bar is fine, okay, and he's got to open the portal. Now, if we did a thing where he cons the wizard out of his wizard's robe, even having the coin, he might not know how to get into Enchanted Lands. He might not be able to do that. He's got to have some knowledge. So uh, either the drunk wizard is going to go with them and it's going to take him to Enchanted Lands, or and there's got to be some way that he knows how to get into the portal. Okay, so notice that Zanzibar is probably going to need Quicksilver, and then probably know the magic words to get into to open a portal. Since this drunk wizard is not a tourist, he's not going to be carrying a Quicksilver ticket, but he might have an amulet or coin or something on his person with Quicksilver in it, and then he's still got to open a portal. Well, the magic words or phrase is probably just for tourists. A real wizard would be able to just open it with his will or something. Or maybe he knows some words to use. So if he switches clothes, then how is Zanzibar going to know the incantation? How is Zanzibar going to know the incantation? Or then again, he could find a way to get the drunk wizard to take him with him. Ideas? Let's see if Grok comes up with any more ideas. Testing out Zanzibar introduction scene, reveals Las Vegas police by entering the Lilliputian and Left Skewer Villagers Bar, each with an open portal to the Enchanted Lands. You're considering in the hotels, Zanzibar needs to disguise the blend of the wizard shuffling into a portal, and in the bar, Zanzibar talks to drunk wizard who reveals portal details, possibly involving Quicksilver, not a tourist ticket, maybe an amulet or coin, and magic words or a wizard's will to open it. Challenges how Zanzibar learns the incantation if he switches clothes, or how he convinces the drunk wizard to take him through the portal. Ideas for choices. Well, okay, I wasn't trying to get it to come up with choices as far as the hotels go, because I can probably come up with them myself. But the bar is the kind of the more interesting thing to me. Lilliputian still wizard robe. Hotel cloakroom to blend with the wizards. Overhears a chant incantation. Slips through Vitae Lumos and slips through the open portal with the group. He doesn't need the magic words if he's in the hotels, because the hotels is going to be there's going to be a group of wizards, so he doesn't need anything extra special. He just needs to be able to blend in and to go in with them. Gulliver's Bar. Befriend, chats with drunk wizard, brags about his Quicksilver amulet, and serves the portal's incantation. The bar's amulet convinces the wizard to take him through the alley portal. Notes. Drunk Wizard's amulet, not a tourist ticket, contains Quicksilver. Hotels, Quicksilver might be in the portal's room setup. Incantation, tourists use specific words, but real wizards might open portals with will. Drunk Wizard, less guarded, slurs the tourist phrase, letting Zanzibar mimic it, tag along, disguise. Hotels, a robe or cloak lets Zanzibar blend in. In the bar, he might not need a disguise, just persuasion to join the drunk wizard. All choices. Yeah, example scene. Okay. So Z is not going to need any magic words or anything. He just needs to blend in with the group of wizards and follow them through. Because the portal will already be open. There's an idea here that each wizard that goes to the convention will probably have this amulet and given to them in case they get separated from the group. They need to open a portal themselves. So the only issue is the disguise in the hotels. In the bar is, like I said, a bit different. I think it will have to be persuading the drunk wizard to take him with him. Okay. I gotta hurry up and do this so that because I'm supposed to be done at 3:30, and I need to get at least this one essentially page done today. It's one thing, the intro here, done. So let's just see. You're refining Zanzibar's introduction scene. Zanzibar doesn't need magic words or Quicksilver since the portals in the Lilliputian Hotel Blessed Skew. Already open. Each wizard at the convention carries Quicksilver amulet for emergency portal opening if separated, but Zanzibar only needs to blend in with the group to follow them through in the hotels. He needs a disguise, join the wizards in the bar. He must persuade a drunk wizard to take him along to the alley portal. Grab wizard robe, still a staffer's uniform. Okay, I got that. Persuade drunk wizard. Sweet talks drunk wizard, convincing him to let Zanzibar tag along to the alley portal as police close in. Hotels. A rover uniform lets Zanzibar pass as part of the wizard group or staff, leveraging his command skills to blend in with the crowd heading to the portal. I can actually do that. Um, Although if he's dressed as hotel staff in one of the hotels, how is he going to get the wizards to let him come in with them? If he's dressed as a wizard and he blends in, and there's plenty of wizards there that not all of them know each other, then that works, and that already works for one thing already. Persuasion fits the bar's casual vibe, might flatter the drunk wizard, clearly a master mage, to gain his trust and access to the alley portal. Since the portal is open, Wizard Quicksilver amulet isn't used but could be mentioned. Um, well, drunk wizard is going to open his own portal. So then the problem is, how does Zanzibar, has he convince him to take him along? Which I kind of got a few ideas. Um, an issue with getting a hotel staff uniform doesn't mean the wizards will let him come with them. Um, let's see. Okay, you're noting staff uniform might convince wizards to let him join them through the open portal. Um, so wizard robe, mimic wizard apprentice, pretends to be wizard's apprentice, talking his way into the group to pass through the portal. Uh, yeah, and it would be funny too, because this would still be a dialogue thing, and it would mean more pages, more rooms, essentially. But he could actually have a conversation where he tries to they go, "Who are you?" And he goes, "I'm an apprentice wizard." And then they'd be like, "Who's your master?" And then he has to come up with like a name, and of course, all three names will work, you know. Uh, or they'll say a name, and they'll say some random name. Who's your master? I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay. A robe in true Zanzibar looks like a wizard boy suspicious, posing as apprentice, adds comment twist. Bar flattery. Ensuring opens the portal, takes Zanzibar along. Amulet. Hotel. A wizard apprenticed. Yeah, I could make it kind of the easier choice. If he goes in Lilliputian and he grabs a wizard robe, you know, maybe okay. So let's think for a second. Um, okay, so one of them. Okay, so one of them could be he grabs a wizard's cloak. Let's say. Let's think for a second. Let's say the wizard don't doesn't have the wizard in the bar doesn't have his cloak. In fact, he's one of the ones from one of the hotels. Maybe a Lilliputian. He's got his cloak is there, and so Zanzibar goes in right in with the rest of the people, and then as they all start grabbing their cloaks, maybe some of them don't know each other, and so they just grab, and he grabs one. Maybe he grabs the last one that's on there, and puts it on, and he goes through. And now you wouldn't necessarily know it, but he happens to be grabbing the cloak of the drunk wizard that's in the bar. You know, which is funny. In fact, you could. In fact, you could make it kind of funny too, and that is the drunk wizard could come through the portal, his portal, and rejoin the others, and they'd be asking him where his cloak was, and he might be like somebody, somebody must have stolen it or something, and uh, then he looks over at Zanzibar and says, "That's it. You get your own cloak," kind of thing. They're already all through the portal, so the portal's closed behind them, so he's left there. Uh, I'm not really sure how the other wizards will act to Zanzibar, pretending to be. Or maybe what happens is he leaves immediately. He removes the wizard cloak and lets it drop to the ground, and then the drunk wizard that was at the bar looks at it and says, "That's it. How did that get here?" I don't remember. Like I don't remember it being. I don't remember leaving it here. I thought it was back in Cerulia or something. Some of that nature. Okay, so I get that. Okay, so he steals. He grabs. Okay, so a bunch of wizards are going through the portal in the Lilliputian. Uh, as they grab their cloaks from a rack, from a roll-in rack. Um, one left is there's one left that Zeke grabs as he hurriedly runs to blend in with the group going through. When he is through, he removes it and takes off and hides. Then, a few moments later, a drunk wizard from another portal comes up, and they ask him where his cloak is, and he sees it on the ground and picks it up, not knowing how it got there. Okay. If choosing the bar, he'll flatter the drunk wizard, who will eventually take him through. Maybe he mentions he's never seen a real life magic kingdom before, or ever met a real life wizard. And the drunk wizard decides to take him through. Okay. That still leaves the buff skew. That still leaves the buff skew. Not sure what to do there. So you're refining? Yes, I am refining. Okay. Acknowledge, it's a drunk wizard from... Flatters the drunk wizard, so he's never seen it. You need ideas for buff skew to complete the 3-choice setup, ensuring Zanzibar blends in and enters the portal. Impersonate wizard's aid. Badge from... Oh, that's the thought. Okay, so maybe the portal's being opened in their convention, what do they call the convention rooms? What do they call them? But yeah. Pose as wizard's assistant. You know, um you can impersonate by grabbing a badge, but maybe what happens is they have a... Huh. Let's see something here. Grab last cloak. Final click from the rolling rack, blends in lizards. Fire drunk wizard. Hmm. I'm still trying to think. I got very short time to do it, and it's almost time for me to pack this up for today. And I want to get this done today, though. Um, I got like a... just kind of weird for some reason. Um, yeah, I'm still considering Q choice. Oh, that's not a bad idea. Service cart. Mm, okay. Let's think about this for a second. Quick second. Hmm. Service cart. Yeah, there could be something on top of it, some food or something. Maybe some sort of food cart. What would they provide in a hotel in center that would be on a movable cart? Movable cart. Got it. You're considering a food cart. Blend in and reach the portal. Uh, Coffee and tea, pastries, come convention centers for quick breaks with barista set up on a wheeled cart. Not cart. Okay. Mm-hmm. Hide in the food cart. Yeah, that's okay. I think I just got it. Um, yes, a snack cart. Maybe he hides behind it and he moves it as a security and or police officer walks across walks in front of the well, the door might be closed. Maybe they're open doors. So maybe the portal is on the right side of the room as you're going in, i.e. to your right as you walk in, but it's far enough to the right that it masks the portal that's open. Z moves the cart as the guard doesn't notice it's moving by itself. When he's close enough to the portal, maybe he dives in at that point. Sounds like a good deal to me. Although it's $3.25. Okay. So, moving as security police officer passes in front of double doors, the open portal is on the right side of the room, far enough to be obscured from view, allowing Zanzibar to push the cart closer unnoticed and dive into the portal. Hide behind a snack cart towards the right side as the guard passes double doors, oblivious to the moving cart, gets close to it and dives through. Okay. It's a little Lilliputian hotel. He grabs the last cloak, which happens to be actually be the drunk wizard's cloak. Okay. Blessed Hotel hides behind the snack cart, moves it past the guard near the double doors, dives into the obscured portal on the right. Gulliver's bar flatter the drunk wizard, convince him to take him through the portal. Snack cart adds a sneaky con-man vibe with the portal's position, obscuring flavor text as Zanzibar nudges snack cart, the wheels creaking as the guard glances away, missing the portal's faint glow. Okay, I think I have all I need. Thanks for the help. And that's how I use the AI. I don't know if anybody's still listening or watching, but Rook already knows how I use it though. But as far as anybody in okay, as far as anybody in game dev on Liberia.chat, if you're watching, Bomb, if you're watching, Kahan, if you're listening or watching, um, I don't know even know what I was saying. See, that's I don't know, that's ADHD or whatever. Uh, okay, so I'm actually going to go ahead and call it quits for today. I guess I'm not going to go ahead and implement. I'm going to save room data. Random villages. Where does that go to? That goes to Lapswood Edge. Interesting. Okay. Anywho, so let me go ahead and put that in my notes. Okay. If Zanzibar chooses the Lilliputian, then he finds his way to the ballroom. I guess the ballroom. I don't know what you call it. Here, let's see. Crocosleep. I'm about to finish up, but quickly, what different kinds of rooms are there in a convention center or hotel that groups hold their conventions in? ballroom, exhibit hall, meeting room, conference room, banquet hall, boardroom, atrium lobby, okay, so I'll use ballroom for one, and maybe banquet hall or the other. So that's okay. I have all I need. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay. Finds his way to the ballroom, and he notices several, at least 50 to 100 wizards, old men that like what looks like wizard garb. As they grab cloaks off the roll-in racks, he notices one left, and seeing no other wizard, grabs it and then runs up to mix into the middle with the other wizards going through a portal. Okay. And then if Zanzibar chooses the Glyphus skew, if he chooses, does he chooses or he chooses? If chooses the Glyphus skew, he's noticing a bunch of old men that like wizards, heading toward a portal to the right of the double doors of the banquet hall. And as he enters the room, he notices a snack cart and ducks behind it as a security guard and a police officer start walking up or right. He starts moving the cart, and the officer is oblivious to the fact it's moving by itself and right along with him until Zanzibar is close enough to the portal to jump through. Okay. If Zanzibar chooses if Zanzibar chooses the bar, there's not much room. There's a bartender, woman, sitting at the bar, and what looks like another old man sitting at a small table. Zanzibar talks to him and finds out he's a wizard from Enchanted lands. Zanzibar, not realizing thinking he's drunk. He's so drunk, he's making stuff up. Mentions he's never seen a real wizard before, and is curious if this portal thing is real. When the wizard tries to reassure Zanzibar it is real, he asks him to show him. And when they leave the bar and go to the alley in the back, he takes hold of an amulet he's wearing, and then mutters a few words under his breath when a portal materializes in front of them, and then both of them enter into it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save it here. I'm going to leave it here, and tomorrow I'm actually going to, granted, I didn't actually finish the page here today, but we're going to assume, I'm going to sort of take it like I finished the page today, because really I've come up with all the stuff here, and tomorrow what I'm do is I'll implement that into the tree out of those rooms, and I'll actually finish it up tomorrow based on what I put here. This is a lot of words. This is less words, but still a lot, and this is even less. But I'm going to try to make sure to keep it down to a few lines, not too many lines. It doesn't need to be that complicated. It just needs to sell the idea of what he's doing. He talks the wizard at the bar to show him the portal, which he does. In the Bluffaskew, he hides behind a cart, moves it until it's close enough to the portal to dive into the portal. And then in the Lilliputian, he grabs a last coat on the rack, and he mixes it in into the group of wizards going into the portal, thereby entering the portal that ways. And so that's that. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I don't know if you're familiar, if you've seen these streams a number of times, you'll notice that I'll do my little recording, and this is essentially my progress report clip that I use to compile into an update video, essentially my devlog. And I suppose I should figure out how to do the thing of the whole B-roll footage kind of thing, where I actually work on the thing and I do recording of it and then I put it in the background. Maybe I I'll put some of that in with my update or something. Um, Possibly. I'm not sure. Um, Maybe I should make sure that all my update clips are always less than a minute because um, because I'm finding I have to edit down if it's 2 or 3 minutes, and I have to edit the silence out. And because I'm doing 10-day, essentially 2 week intervals for videos, that's 10 dailies. And if I want to keep it down to 10 minutes or 15 minutes, depends. I need to keep it around what but hopefully less than two, because if I do at least 2 minutes, that means 20 minutes total. So really, I need to keep it around to 1 minute a piece for each clip, and so I need a better way of doing that. Um, Maybe I can improve my update video deals. Start creating thumbnails too for them, so that it's looking a little bit better maybe. Anyways, I'm gonna do my recording, and then I'm gonna end the stream. So okay, start recording. Today is Monday, July 7th, 2025, and today I essentially figured out how Zanzibar is going to enter into the realm. I created the text for Cerulean 6 page, and then the three options, which is, if you remember from the last time, the two hotels, the Lilliputian, the Blefuscu, and then Gulliver's Bar and Lounge, which is a little dinky dilly in between both of them. And I also came up with the method in which he goes in there. So the text here is Zanzibar the Great, magician thief running towards the Las Vegas Strip, trying to escape police on foot. As Zanzibar comes to some random intersection, he notices two large hotels and a bar in between them, the Lilliputian, the Blefuscu, and Gulliver's Bar and Lounge. So 1, 2, and 3 if you want to hit them. And I haven't actually created those yet, but I have created the what's going to go there. So if he chooses Lilliputian, he's going to see these old men going towards this. It might be a door. He can't really tell because they're all crowding into this one area, and they're grabbing their cloaks off the racks, and there's one left, and so he grabs it, and then he hurriedly runs into the midst of them and goes into Enchanted Lands that ways. If he chooses the Blefuscu, uh, he's goes to the banquet towards the banquet hall, and he sees a group of men going in there. They're going to the right of the double doors. Just out of view is the portal, and so he goes into the room. He sees them shuffling into the portal. And he sees a snack cart. He goes behind it. Just when a police officer or a security guard walks by, and he starts moving the cart towards the portal, and the officer is kind of oblivious to the fact that it's moving by itself, so because that's not what he's looking for. And right when he gets close to it, he dives into the portal. And then if he chooses the bar, he has to talk to the wizard. There is this drunk wizard, and drunk wizard is telling him about this, this portal, this wizard's convention and stuff. And he says he'd never seen a real wizard, and he wants to know if this portal thing is real. And eventually, the drunk wizard decides to allow him to see him open the portal. So he opens the portal, and then Zanzibar goes in with the drunk wizard. And so those are the three methods. And tomorrow I will go ahead and actually fill in the rest of this. So that's what I did for today, and I will see you later. Okay, so that about does it for today. Thanks to you guys for watching, at least for watching for a while, and on Liberia.chat. Those guys in the game dev channel, Bomb, and then Kahan, who's also in game designers. He was listening or watching for a while, and Rook usually puts me on the background, so you were probably listening to Rook, and I want to thank you guys for actually coming in and listen to me ramble on about my story. And even though it's only a little bit of progress, I still made progress, which is good. So yeah. So thanks for that, and I'll see you tomorrow, probably around the same time, depending on a few things. Anyways, thank you for watching.